Hello fellow orchid lovers, it's Danielle here with an exciting video about my bloom and spike progress. So I'm not really sure what orchids I have included in my past videos. There's a few that I know for certain started blooming since my last video, but I figured you wouldn't mind seeing some pretty blooms again. So I just kind of went through whatever was actually in bloom and I knew for sure had spikes and pulled them from my collection and set them out so I can take a look at them with you. And I also have some that are in spike that I want to show you. I may come across more because today is watering day, but I just wanted to quickly share some of the more exciting news with you. So as you can see, I have a fair amount of Phalaenopsis in bloom. This Phalaenopsis was one of the ones I didn't know what color her blooms were going to be. So as you can see, she came out white with a beautiful kind of like a magenta or a hot purple lip. And I think I may have mentioned to you that I had this orchid twice already. Not this particular actual orchid, but this bloom twice already. The first one had was killed by my dog, and then the second one had stem rot. So really excited to get her again because I think she's beautiful. And fortunately, so far, no issues with her, so she should be keeping around for quite a while now. This is another one that I wasn't sure what color her blooms were going to be. So she came to me with this primary spike that had already bloomed. There were no blooms left. And then she developed this secondary spike right here and this secondary spike right here. And she also developed another primary spike. She is very close to her source of light, so this spike did not get very big, and it only got 4 blooms so far. I'm sorry, 4 buds, 2 of which have bloomed, but she's a beautiful, beautiful orange color. It's actually a lot more like an auburny orange in real life. In the picture, it's coming through a little more peach, but very, very beautiful orchid, and the inside lip is almost velvety looking. Just really, really pretty. So I'm excited to see what she looks like. Again, this is one of the orchids I didn't know what color she was going to be. This is another one. As you can see, I got her, her spike was brown all the way back to here when I got her, so I did cut that back and she developed a secondary spike. And as you can see, it's a beautiful cascade of flowers here. So she got quite a few flowers on her secondary spike. I know a lot of times when you do cut a flower spike, the secondary spike is not as good of a show, but I think in this instance it is. I mean, that's quite a fair amount of blooms that she got there. So she's really pretty. She has like orange and yellow and a little bit of pink. And then in her actual petals, I know you probably can't see it. Maybe you can kind of see it on the back of this one. She's got some pink as well, which is really pretty. It's very different. This one back here, this is Aubrey. This is named after my niece Aubrey. And she's still in bloom. She was the mini phal that when I first got her, she seemed to get a little pissed off. But I figured out she's a more fine-rooted Phalaenopsis. And I realized that with the fine-rooted mini phals, they do need a little bit more water than I typically give. Because their roots are so fine, I guess they don't retain as much moisture. And so as soon as I increased her water level, she bounced back and she's doing perfectly fine now. Her blooms were all wilted. And what I mean by that is, like, for instance, you can see here's just a regular Phalaenopsis. And I just give her a little bit of water. That's typically, you know, actually even a little high. And then if you look, this is the mini phal. A lot of her roots are in the water. Like, that's where her stem is. And I have a fair amount of her roots in the water. So you can see the difference. You know, the phals with the chunkier roots or the mini phals with the chunkier roots, I have a tendency to keep a very low amount of water. But I found out with the mini phals that have the really fine roots, they do require a little more water than I would typically give. And like I said, as soon as I did that, she bounced right back. Her blooms came, you know, perked back up. So figured out her mystery. This orchid is named after my other niece, Kaylin. So if you'll recall, she I got her, she was packed in moss. I thought that the reason why she wasn't happy was because they hadn't repotted the moss when they should have, because her roots were really in terrible, terrible shape when I took her out of the moss. But I recently found out she actually has stem rot, and that's the reason why she kind of took a downward spiral. So I removed a lot of her dead roots. I treated the stem with a little bit of cinnamon, and as you can see, she's not in any water. I don't keep her in water because hydrating her roots and keeping her stem dry at the same time is like an oxymoron. So really, I try just to water her every day. And how I do that is I just water the roots. I don't get any water on the stem. I just water the roots. And when she starts developing new buds from her stem, which I do see maybe glimmerings of that, then I can cut off the bottom part of her stem that has the stem rot and get rid of the roots that she does have and let her just regenerate some new roots. But for right now, I can't do that yet because I don't have anything else to hydrate her. And this part of her stem, the new part of her stem, is not really mature enough yet to put forth some new roots. So basically every day I just take her and I gently run water here and I gently run water there. You know, I tip her side to side outside of the vase to get her nice and green. As you can see, her roots are green. And then I put her back into a dry vase. So she is running out of moisture. Her leaves are very leathery and limp, but she hasn't reabsorbed her flower spike yet, at least not the whole thing. She did start to reabsorb to here. So as soon as it turned brown to here, I did cut it back. But she has not started reabsorbing these yet. And there are a lot of nutrients in this flower spike, so I don't want to take this away from her. She will draw this energy back into her if and when she needs it, and I want to leave that there for her so she could have the energy to do so when she needs it. So that's her story. So she's one of my rescue missions. This mini fowl is still in bloom. I've had her for a while too. She's doing really good. You know, she's lost a few blooms, but for the most part, she's doing really well. I've had her for a couple months now, and she's still in bloom. So she's a happy girl. She has more chunky roots than the other mini fowl, so I don't keep the water level as high on her, and so far so good. She's keeping those blooms. This mini fowl I've had for well over a year, probably a year and a half to 2 years, and she's doing really well too. This is a spike that she put out in my care, and as you can see, the blooms are opening up. And she's putting out some new roots, and she grew this leaf in my care. She's growing a second leaf in my care. So she's doing really good. And I found out with this mini fowl, she really enjoys a lot of light. So I have her in like the brightest spot I can possibly give her, and she seems to love that. So that's her. And that's the thing that I've learned about growing orchids and water culture is you kind of have to watch each orchid. You know, just because it's a Phalaenopsis doesn't mean one thing. You kind of adjust according to each orchid. So what I really was excited about and wanted to show you is my dendrobiums are in bloom. Freaking out, so excited. This one I'm freaking out because this is actually a deciduous dendrobium. And I am new to dendrobiums, and the fact that I was able to get a deciduous dendrobium to bloom the first year I had it, and that I'm able to grow it in water culture and it likes it, like I'm over the moon, overjoyed. Every time I see this plant, it brings a smile to my face. I don't care what kind of day I'm having. I mean, look at these beautiful, let me get this leaf out of the way, these beautiful, beautiful blooms. I mean, do you see the color and the no, you can't because it's blurry. Sorry. Let me see if I can get this. Do you see that? I mean, that's just gorgeous. Just beautiful. The way the petals curl back reminds me of like pieces of carrot. And I love carrots, so to me that's a good thing. To you it may not be if you don't like carrots, but I just am in love with this orchid. I am so thrilled that I didn't mess this up, because when I saw the buds starting to form, I convinced myself I was going to screw it up, because, you know, I am what I would term, I mean, I've been growing orchids successfully now for a couple of years, but I am still a beginner, I would say. And so the fact that this panned out and happened, and not only one spike, but not only one cane, but a second cane. You can see all the buds on the second cane. I mean, just over the moon, excited, so pleased. And she's got a new growth starting. So as you can see right there, she's got another cane starting. So she's doing really good, and I'm really happy with her. So I wanted to share that with you because, like I said, I'm fascinated with these beautiful, beautiful blooms. I love them so much. I'm so glad I have this orchid. And my other dendrobium that is in bloom, I only have 3, and 2 of them are in bloom, is my Latoria atroviolaceum. And again, just love, love, love I mean, look at that with the spots and the green with the purple and the stripes, and she's fragrant too, which is amazing. You know what? I haven't checked the dendrobium to see if she's fragrant. I'll do that after this video, but this dendrobium is fragrant. Fragrant. I can't speak. I'm sorry. I'm just so excited. I'm tripping over my own tongue. Yeah, so as you can see, quite a plethora of blooms. She has 7 flower spikes. So she is she's just a giver and a sharer. She just wanted to give me quite a show. And I've had this orchid for over a year, so these grew in my care. It's not something that I bought her with. So again, I'm so thrilled with that. I guess I am kind of learning how to take care of these orchids. And I mean, how could that not make you smile? I mean, every morning I get up, I make myself a cup of coffee, and I walk around and I look at my beautiful blooms, and it just puts a smile on my face. So I hope you are all having similar success and happiness with your collections, because I just want you all to feel this way. So anyways, I'm going to just do a quick spin here. You know what? Let me bring her with me because I don't want you to get dizzy. So we're going to focus on the dendrobium and not the moving camera. Okay, these are my orchids, slightly less exciting, but these are my orchids that are currently in spike. So where should I start? Okay, so I'll start here in the front. So this Phalaenopsis, I don't know. No, this Phalaenopsis, I know what color her blooms are. This is the Phalaenopsis that I've had for 2 years now, and she's never stopped blooming. I got her with this spike. She bloomed up till here. Those blooms dropped off. She extended her spike to about here. Those blooms dropped off. She extended her spike again. Like, she's just kept going off of the tip of her spike, like, continually. I don't know that that spike is healthy enough to continue. It doesn't look too bad, but I don't know. It's a pretty long spike. But she decided to put out a secondary spike for me here. So we have quite a few blooms coming on her. And it looks like the tip of the spike is continuing. So she's going to give me more flowers. So she came with this spike, and she just keeps giving me flowers and flowers and flowers. I'm sorry about the blurriness. Because of the backlighting from the window, the camera has trouble focusing. So that's her. This is my next orchid that is in spike. So she's the one that I purchased. She didn't have any blooms, but she had the spot on her spike that they had dyed the flowers. So she, they had broken the spike and it was brown, so I cut it. But they had dyed her flowers. It looked like blue because her leaves are hep blue on them. So she developed a secondary spike, so she's got quite a few blooms coming. And I'm just curious to see if any of the residual blue dye is going to show up in these blooms. So I will definitely keep you updated with that. It's kind of exciting. I wonder. And I'll let you know. The next one that I'm pretty excited about is this one. This is, let me see if I can find her tag. Because I don't know her cross. Come here, you little guy. This is Zhu Chang Orange with cross with Violacea. I haven't seen her flowers yet. I've had her a little over a year, maybe closer to 2 years, and this is the first spike that she's gotten for me. So as you can see, it's gotten pretty big since the last time I filmed it. The last time I filmed it, I think it was here in between the leaves. And I've never had like a primary cross. Is this a primary cross? I know the Violacea is a species, so I don't know what you would call this, but I've never had a species or a mixed species Phalaenopsis before, so I don't know how big this spike is going to get before she starts to get blooms, but I do know that a lot of species or species crosses, Phalaenopsis, their flower spikes are sequential bloomers. So you don't cut the spike because it just keeps getting blooms on that same spike. So I'm excited to see if that's the case with her, and I'm also excited to see her blooms because I kind of remember what her picture looks like, but like I said, I've had her for over a year, so I don't really 100% remember what the blooms are supposed to look like. So I am looking forward to seeing those blooms. This is another phal that I grew this spike in my care. So I've had her for a little over a year. She came with a flower spike, so I do know what color her blooms are. They're actually like a really deep auburny red. And so she grew this spike in my care. So as you can see, she again is another overachiever. So she has this primary spike, and then she has 2 secondary spikes growing too off of the primary spike. So we're going to get quite a few blooms from her. She's putting out a lot of new roots. So I think she may be happy. I don't know. What do you think? So I'm really excited to see her blooms. Again, I do know what they're going to look like, but it looks like it's going to be a pretty awesome show. So I am looking forward to that. This orchid back here, she's a strange one. So she's kind of in a state of limbo as far as health is concerned. She doesn't really have a great root system. So I was really surprised to see her start putting out spikes. Out of this secondary spike, I performed an experiment to see if it mattered if you cut it or if you didn't. So she had 2 spikes. I cut one. I didn't cut the other. And she is putting a secondary spike off of this one. The other primary spike that I didn't cut, she's putting 2 secondary spikes. So I don't know if that's really a result, but there it is. But she doesn't have a great root system. Her leaves aren't in great shape. She's not working on new roots, but she is working on putting out secondary spikes for me. So I'm a little puzzled by her. I don't know why without the infrastructure of her root system and her leaves, she would be interested in blooming right now. But she is, so I'll take it. And then most exciting of all, because I don't know if you all know what my favorite orchid of all time is, but if you've been following me for a while, you know that it is the Shelob Tolkien. So I'm sorry. I know that I clear my throat and I swallow hard and all that. I do have a medical condition that makes that happen, and several of the people that have watched my video have complained about the fact that I quote unquote smack my lips. And I apologize for that, but I really have no control over it. I have trouble swallowing, so it sounds like I'm smacking my lips, but it's really just me kind of trying to swallow. So I apologize for that. So anyways, I bought her to replace an older orchid that I had. I bought a Shelob Tolkien. She turned out to have Fusarium. She died. I didn't know she did, so I couldn't save her. And she came with this new one came with these 2 pseudobulbs, but she hadn't bloomed yet. So last season she grew this new growth in my care, and she did bloom for me, but this new growth was like a tiny little new growth when I got her. So although I kind of took credit for this spike, I couldn't 100% take credit because the new growth was there when I got the plant. Well, this is the new growth that grew 100% in my care. And while, you may be able to see it already, but while I was watering her last week, I noticed something. Can you see that? It's a spike. So I am so excited because I really had given up hope. I couldn't remember when in the growth this new growth had developed her spike. I do know when the growth is immature, they develop. So I was trying to hold on to hope, but at this point, she's getting mature, and I didn't think I was going to get a spike, and I was very disappointed, but yay! So I'm super excited about that, and I wanted to share that with you. So, the spike actually grows pretty fast on the Shelob Tolkien, so I should have blooms in a couple of weeks to show you guys. But yeah, that is my orchid collection as far as spikes and blooms are concerned. So I'm going to bring you back over here, focusing on a plant instead of the twirling phone. And yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I am going to make it a point to sit down tonight and answer some of your questions. I do have a lot of doctor's appointments throughout the week, especially lately. So I have been really bad about answering you right away, and I do apologize for that. But I am going to sit down this afternoon and make a concerted effort to answer some of your questions. I'm also going to write down, some of your ideas for videos. I know some of you want to see fertilizing video, and I am going to make a new one. It's just going to take me a couple of weeks because we have a vacation planned. And again, I have a lot of doctor's visits coming up. So it's going to take some time. But I will certainly endeavor, a little bit later in the spring to be a little bit better about posting and also answering your questions. So I hope you all are having a wonderful day, and I will talk to you all next time.